Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live. Hopefully, you found us. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but you guys will be glad that you're here. Tonight, we have people from seasons all the way from the beginning to towards the end, and we're going to go through what our experience was on The Biggest Loser, as well as our thoughts for Fit for TV. So, just to get started, we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves. My name is Adrian. I was on season 3 of The Biggest Loser way long ago, like 19 years ago. Since then, I have doubled my weight and then worked my way back down and up and down and up and down, and here we are today. So Sonia, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Sonia Jones. I was
Sonia.
from season 16. Yeah, I've been off the show now 11 years. So it's crazy. It was a great experience for me and I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Buddy, how about you?
Yeah, Buddy Shoes, season 13. We filmed in 2011, 2012. Just a crazy, wild experience. Lots of incredible memories. Some good, some bad, and a lot of opportunities and fun that came after the show as well.
And Mike?
Yeah, Mike Messina, season 13, and it's been a great experience. It's been what, 14 years? All right,
Close,
give or
yeah.
take. Yeah.
And Andrea?
Hello, Andrea, season 16, kind of, for a little while. Anyway, great to see you guys.
Great to have you. Okay, so first thing I think people want to know is, after the show, did you guys just maintain it was easy train? Did you guys have any support after the show? And what was it like? So we'll just kind of go in the circle like we did last time. So Sonia, if you want to go first.
Yeah, sure. No, I did not maintain. Actually, when I got home, I kind of felt like an addict, if I'm being honest. I use the tagline a lot that, you don't get to be a contestant on The Biggest Loser because you like a little bit of pizza. It's because you have an emotional tie to food. And when I got back, I felt like an addict and went after, sought therapy, if I'm being honest. And so my weight would go up and down. I am 10 years post-show, almost 11 years. And I can tell you that right now is the first time that I don't fear putting all the weight back on. I finally found a rhythm and love it. Really feel great about where I am. You asked about aftercare. The show didn't provide any aftercare, but one of the greatest things that the show did was gave us Jen Wiederstrom. And Jen is still a great friend, and we're all getting together here before too long in January, I believe. And she, to this day, still checks in with us. We still have a white team strand and we're still super close. And so that's been a huge blessing. But as far as aftercare, that's not really on the network, right? That's on us to kind of figure it out. So there wasn't any aftercare. So I sought my own. And that's what's helped me be very successful, in my opinion, is because I've found the tie between food and feelings, right? Trying to bridge that gap. And so that's where I am.
Awesome.
Yeah, I came home season 13, and I would say I slowly started putting back on weight. I tried to bring home the experience into my local community and form community. And we did some programs here locally with some city governments, and it was pretty successful. And, we found community and, but I was slowly putting back on. And so I think that's continued. I've had a couple health problems. I've got some bad knees. And so I am still working hard, not quitting, reading, nutrition, and exercising. And but I put on quite a bit of weight. So that's where I am.
For me, I am right now about 10 pounds shy of my starting weight, which is unfortunate. It took me, I think I kept most of it off at about 20 pounds. I went on a cruise right after finale, and I think I gained 25 pounds that week alone. And then I bought the rights to the race series. And so that for me, really meeting the people that came out, getting to see Sonia and you and Adrian and everyone that would come, different, people that would show up. That was a real motivator for me. And then I got very sick and I got colon cancer in 2 years after finale. So, I went on steroids for about a year and a half, very high dose, and had chemo and am in remission now. But that really took it into me. So, then life happened and my mom got sick. I became her full-time caregiver. She just passed away Memorial weekend. And so now I just started a GLP-1 and my physician doesn't think it's going to work for me, but we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. But that's where I'm at. So I'm at about 234 pounds right now.
I'm so sorry about your mom.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. And I'm currently on a GLP-1. It's been a game changer. There were times, and we'll go into this in a second, where I was running marathons, tracking every morsel, not losing weight, continuing to gain weight. And it wasn't until I added GLP-1 that it's been a game changer. So I hope it will be that for you as well. But Mike, how about you?
I actually lost weight after the finale. I kept training really hard. Yeah, I
Can we
kept
be
training really.
friends?
I kept training a lot and eating the same diet, as when I was losing, and I kept losing, and then people said I was too skinny, and so I listened and started eating again, and it crept on 10 pounds the first year, 15, and then another 5 the next year. But I stayed within 20 pounds of finale weight for 3 years and felt great and kept working out and running. And then I got up to about 300 pounds, maybe right before the pandemic. And it just gave me a lot of time to, really dig in on taking care of myself. And so I'm 60 pounds, maybe more than finale weight, which is good for me. I'm happy where I'm at. I'd like to be, 20, 30 pounds lighter, but I just don't care anymore. Honestly, it's like I quit trying. I feel like the more that I try, the less good I am at being a human being and happy. And so I'm just kind of just here and enjoying life and really grateful to be here and be alive. And Andrea, I think it's amazing that you survived colon cancer. What a gift from God that was. He definitely wanted you. Yeah, that took my dad at 52.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with that. And yeah, life's a trip. I thought I had cancer myself about 4 or 5 months ago, and I'm really grateful to be here. Got a big softball-sized tumor in my back,
Oh,
in my psoas muscle, which I thought was a hernia, and it ended up being this big tumor. And I put it on the alumni page. And they diagnosed me as not knowing until they took it out, and it might cripple me. So I was like, no, I think I might go out on my shield rather than have you do that. So I got a second opinion. Well, Dr. Huizinga actually told me to go to Houston and have MD Anderson, which is one of the best in the world, check my tests out. And they said, oh no, definitively you don't have it, and it's better you don't get the surgery. I was like, what? These people in Austin, Texas at UT are just like, what? I don't get it. I don't get how they couldn't diagnose me. But anyway, gift from God. I don't have cancer. I've got this big old tumor in my back and it hurts, but I keep doing a lot of physical therapy and my own workouts. And I have a little gym here where I train people and help them. And so I help myself. And at the same time, I work out with them. And, if anything, if I learned anything from this show, which I didn't understand back then, was, well, actually, I was really grateful to be on the show. And then after the show, I didn't remember to be grateful. So then it went back into this, like trying really hard, which never worked for me to like try. Just do it. And if it's going to do what it's going to do, and you figure it out. And if I leave anybody with anything from this, if they're trying to lose weight, don't try, just do it. You already know how to do it. You'll figure it out as you go. But the trying is like enforcing it. It ends up, you just don't do it because it's human nature, right? So I think.
I've dug deeply into why do people struggle and how are these diets? Why do they never work? And they're a major stressor to our body. And I would love to know your guys' thoughts on the they kind of danced around the allegation that it caused metabolic adaptation. I started gaining weight the second I left the ranch. There absolutely was something different. My body started fighting me from that minute on. So what did I do? Diet harder, diet harder, diet harder. And it's only recently until GLP-1 is actually a hormone. And when you give your body a digestive hormone that it's potentially deficient in, it regulates all the other hormones to the brain and the pancreas, and it makes a total change, and it's less stress to the body unless you're overdoing it, which a lot of people do. But yeah, so I'm with you on, if we diet too hard, it seems to have some consequences. But what are your guys' thought on the metabolic adaptation controversy that this destroyed our lives? One more thing I just want to say is that I think anybody who does an extreme diet is having metabolic adaptation, and it is not specific to The Biggest Loser. That's my piece. But go ahead, Sonia.
Here's the thing. Did it slow down my metabolism? Possibly. Yeah, it may have. However, when I went on the show, I was pre-diabetic. I had high blood pressure. Sorry, that's my dog. I had high cholesterol. I had all kinds of things. And I believe that I'm so much healthier now than I was before I went on the show. Now, with that being said, I also believe that you can't outrun your fork, right? And the reason why a lot of people put their weight back on is simply because it's almost like a replacement therapy, right? So I can speak for myself. Like I have binge eating disorder. That's my documented, that's my eating disorder, right? And so when I overeat to the tune of 5,000 calories and that's an actual, medical / mental condition. So for me, I have to be able to if I keep my diet in check, the weight doesn't come back out. Now I have no desire to be what I was at finale. My starting weight was 283. I ended at 139. I lost 144 pounds on the show. According to H, that was about 31 pounds underweight. He said that I should live right about 170. This morning I'm 182.4. I like to be at about 183. That's my happy weight. And so, with all of that being said, I own my my weight gain, right? I own it because I know that I was eating every time I was mad, happy, angry, sad, whatever it was. I would eat to eat. I'm bored. I'm stressed. I'm all the things. So, is there something to the metabolic weight or the metabolic rate? Possibly. However, I also believe that if I keep my diet in check, I am able to stay at a healthy weight without fail. I tried a GLP-1. I'm glad that it's worked for you, Adrian. It never turned off the food noise for me. Never. I mean, I tried because so many of my clients now have tried it and they're like, oh, this has worked great. So I'm like, well, I'll give it a shot, see if it curbs my BED. It just never did. So anyway, I just, like I said, I don't think you can outrun your fork. And that's why I think a lot of us put our weight back on, because we go back to what we've always known. Food never judged us. It was always there. It comforts us for about 10 minutes. And then we get into this vicious cycle of, man, I don't like how I'm feeling, so I eat. Then I feel worse, so I eat more, right? And it's a vicious cycle. And so we have to be able to create ways to get away from that. And so that's what I encourage people to do.
Yeah. So my answer, I think my gut tells me that the science was right on this when they studied season 8, and that probably the drastic calorie reduction with the over exercising probably did have an influence on our metabolic rates, probably across the board, like they said, 500-600 calories per day. And now I'm kind of like with Sonia, where I don't want to say, well, okay, I just can't do anything the rest of my life. Like, it's, so I've been reading a book that I would recommend, Dr. Mark Hyman, called Ultra Metabolism. And he has a lot to say on this. And I'm trying to get my metabolism, back. He basically says, So if you restrict your calories extremely, like we talked, and I think it's fairly safe to say on our season that we were all eating a maximum of 800 calories a day and trying to burn between 6,000 and 8,000. And we did it. I was there over 5 months. And so what this book with Ultra Metabolism is saying is when you do that, your body perceives that there are scarce resources, and it affects your metabolic rate so that you can survive, right? It slows it down so that you won't die of starvation. And so do I think it affected us? Yeah. Am I trying to like work with it? Absolutely. You know, like I'm trying to reset my metabolic rate. I'm reading through this book. He has a lot to say about things that I hadn't really thought about when I was on the show, like stress. Stress can affect your weight gain, right? So they did a study with animals, and they fed these animals too much, and when they stressed them out, they gained weight even when they were not eating a lot. And so if you're living a stressed life, and kind of like I'm going to jump on what Mike was saying, if you're like putting too much pressure on yourself, you can stress yourself out, and that can affect your metabolism. And so you've got to kind of get to the place where you're not stressed and you go, okay, no, I want to be healthy. I want to feel good. And my metabolism is a big part of that. You know, sleep, rest, exercise, what I'm putting in my body, all these things matter. And I do believe the show definitely affected us. And I'm believing and hoping that this thing can be fixed anyway. We can reset it, and with proper thinking and the habits that the metabolic rate we can go 10 years in the future and test this again, and we'll all be reset.
I think I have an opinion. I don't know. This is just my take on it. I was thinking about it. If you think about the Holocaust and all the people that starved to death in the concentration camps, and they starved much worse than we did, I think. And then they came home and got back to a normal body weight. And I don't know of any like large amount of those folks that pre-World War II got obese because their metabolisms were decreased to any, and they were there for years. That's one thought about it. The other thought about it is that as we get older, we lose muscle, and for every pound of muscle, you need 50 calories for that pound of muscle to survive. So the more muscle that you put on, the more calories that your metabolism needs in order to be at homeostasis. So I'm not sure. I mean, maybe that study is correct. And what I do know is that where there's a will, there's a way. And regardless of any labels or science or any, it's individual to the person to figure out the formula that works for them, and for them to, I think, again, individuate and find your way. And nobody needs any help. The more that I try to teach people and help people, the more resistance there is, because they need to get it for themselves. And maybe they'll get a nugget from me. And that's great. And I've helped people with a conversation. I've had someone said, you helped me lose 150 pounds. And all I did was talk to her for like 10 minutes. And it was like, wow, what if I spent a year and a half training her and that didn't work? So and that happens all the time. It's so common for people to start and quit and never make it happen, which I tried 50 times to lose weight before I got on The Biggest Loser. So, but it was up to me to figure it out. And fortunately, I got sent home early and had to go do it all at home, 2 weeks on the ranch. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it. You and the rest of the Red Team did the right thing. I mean, it was a gift from God that you sent me home. So thank you. Because I had to
realized. We have two teams here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never thanked him for that, but I did now. So I'm grateful just to be myself and to figure it out myself. And I'm not saying teachers are bad or coaches are bad or any of that. I just think that it's got to be their idea. So how do you get it to be their idea versus like, here's all this science and you're overwhelmed with all this information, when it's this innate thing, this internal thing for us to figure things out and solve problems ourselves. And when we do that, then we know the way. But I quit looking outside of myself, and I think I'm doing pretty well. I'm grateful, for my journey, and that's my truth.
For me, I'm kind of both. I do know that something was affected. because they did do the study. I wish they would do it on more people. Just, I think they mentioned that in the documentary. One guy said something about, too bad they only did one season in one group instead of doing a lot more. And for a living, I'm a clinical trial ambassador, so I know what all that entails, and that you'd never get a drug out there if they only did one group of people. And I understand that. But I do know that for me, one of the things I did as soon as that study went out is I used it as a huge excuse. And I'm just being honest, and that's just on me. And yeah, I was suffering with some other stuff, but I found that I always have an excuse. And I start thinking that I think like my mind is telling myself. And, I remember one major thing that happened to me after I had got diagnosed, and I had beaten, and doctor let me go back to spin classes. Well, I'm like, Mike, I came home very early. Well, I thought I was coming home early. I ended up going to the Canyon place where I didn't know I was going. But, that was a blessing itself, because I was able to do the work by myself and not be separated from all the other obligations, which I think that anybody in the middle of the desert, 8 hours a day and everything, there are different stressors for that too. But there's no excuse but that's your job, work out and, do something for yourself. As far as the metabolism though, I remember I had gained, I want to say 40 pounds, and my arms were getting flabby again. And they never really got small. Thought it was funny because our team, the women lost all their boobs and the guys lost all their stomachs. So it was interesting. I came back and I had no boobs and still had a stomach and arms, and it went the other way with the guys, but which they're lucky for that. Anyway, but I came out of a spin class and this lady said to me, she came up and she poked my arms and she's like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "You getting fat again? Or you eating lots of pizza and chocolate again? Like, you had this chance to do this." And now she had no idea I was sick. And from that day on, I never, and I still haven't ever worn a color. I haven't worn sleeveless shirts, different things in my mind that tell me, I can't do this. And so for me, I was also reading a story about how, just like muscle memory, your body gets used to a certain weight. And I had been sitting at 240 pounds for 15 years before the show. And I went right back up to that memory weight. So I don't know if there's something to the memory of your body. If it's I think it's a combination of everything, but I wish they would do a little bit more study on it before I'm completely sold, but I'm sure it does have an effect.
I think in the Holocaust, they didn't have the gut damage that we do because they weren't being exposed to pesticides and antibiotics and
Yes,
all of.
that too.
I can't
Yeah.
even like put one thing on it. There's so many things we're being
Yeah.
exposed to, and they're saying that that's
Yeah.
destroying our gut, which is breaking up hormone signaling. But I love what you guys are sharing because each one of you is adding something to our toolbox. There is no one answer for any person. It takes a lot. It takes the mental piece. It takes addressing your relationship with food. It takes relaxing. It takes a good coach sometimes. It takes a lot of different things for a lot of people. So speaking of coaches, I'm wondering if you guys could share who was your trainer and what are your thoughts on all the trainers? And I'm going to go ahead and dish first, okay? So my trainer was a gal named Kim Lyons, and I've seen in our alumni group, which there's about 200 of us in the alumni group, but I think total they said there was 380 alumni. And I can see everybody saying kind of the same thing. When we get these substitute trainers to season here and there, they're really hands-on. They're really loving. They're there more. They invest more. But my experience with Bob was he hated me so much. He's so competitive that he wouldn't even talk to me. I tried to talk to him one time. He talked to his teammate to talk to me because he was like, I don't want anything to do with you. He was so competitive. Never met Jillian. Our host was Caroline Ray. She was, or Caroline Ray. She was fabulous and wonderful. But I'm wondering what your guys' thoughts are, because the internet is exploding as Jill and Bob feud.
Well, I had Jen Wiederstrom. Jen replaced Jillian in 16. Had absolutely the greatest experience with her ever. She became one of my best friends. I mean, she was invested. There were times when the white team had to say to her, do not come tomorrow. You're putting in 7 days a week. Don't do it. She did 17 as well. And then, 18 is when it went to USA, and I don't remember who they had. I think a guy named Scott or Steve or something, and another lady. I don't remember them. But anyway, I had a great experience with Jen. Then I went to Dulvette's team for like 2 weeks, and that was fine. Allie Sweeney was our host. She was a doll. She was great. She was encouraging. She was fun. I didn't even know Bob was on the show until right after makeover week. So we go, like Andrea said, they leave, they get, whether it's voted off or drop below the red line, they leave. And then when you're watching it back, they go to Comeback Canyon and they open up the limo door and Bob is right there. Well, we didn't know any of this. And so the finalists that night after a makeover, the door flies open and there stands Bob Harper, right? We're like, what is going on? Well, what's crazy about that is, those of you who are on the ranch, he was actually at the Starbucks that morning, and like Lori and Rob and Toma, they all saw him. And they're like, Bob, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, nothing. Just came to get a Starbucks. This is on my way. And so then when he comes back, we all lose our mind. Right. But I didn't work with Bob a whole lot. So, cause he came back with Woody. But yeah, I mean, as far as trainers, man, we also had Jesse Pavelka, which I know that Andrea will talk about him. But my experience with Jen was I could not have scripted, asked for, had a better experience if I had written it myself.
I'll start with Allison Sweeney. One of my first memories, it was shocking to me. Like when we went on the show, they go, "You made it, but wait, you didn't really. Before we start, there are going to be all these challenges, and only the ones who make it through the challenges get in." And so anyway, the last challenge was these people had to stand, like they were teams. And so a brother and sister, Adrian and Daphne, had to stand on like a pole. And the other team was standing on a pole. I think it was Kim and Emily. And whoever lasted the longest was the last team to make it on. And anyway, Adrian and Daphne, they fell. And they had like almost like a bounce house mat thing to catch them. But I don't know, like if you've ever been in a bounce house, when you're heavy, it's like you're stuck in there. You're not getting out. And so they fell in there, and I was and you know what I saw that was shocking is Allison Sweeney got in there in her makeup and her dress and tried to help them get out. And I was just like blown away by the down to earth sweetness of that. A star who's making the kind of money she would actually care about these people she had met that night. And so that's kind of my impression of Allie throughout the show. We had Dovette and Bob on season 13. For the first workout, Dovette was my trainer, and he helicoptered in and rappelled off the helicopter to get down to this. And I'm going, this is a guy I want to trust with my health, rappelling off a helicopter for no reason other than, like, of course, it's the TV thing, right? They got to like make everything just huge and crazy and loud. And I love Dovette. He is a great guy. I think he did his best to help us with what he knew. I think when they chose the trainers, they didn't. I don't think, if you were just looking at health wise and making good decisions for us, and it wasn't a TV show, then I think they made poor choices, because Bob, Jillian, Dovette, this came out in the documentary. They had zero experience with morbidly obese people. They were used to working with rock stars that wanted harder abs. And so they came in, and I think probably, inadvertently, nobody's bad intentions, but I got a stress fracture early on my season because I think anybody who does work with obese people wouldn't have them jogging long time on a treadmill when they're 370. And so I think that was just some of what happened, because they were getting people who were great people, great trainers, but they also just looked amazing. Let's be honest. It was like, I can't tell you how many women I know who are like, can I meet Dolvet? And but he was great. He worked with me. He motivated me. And he was great. I had little experience with Bob. They did do the whole thing where we had to switch trainers for 1 week. And during that week, Bob and I did connect very meaningfully. He seemed very nice, and he wanted to talk about my daughter who had passed away. And so we had a very meaningful conversation, and I felt like he was fully in that. That being said, I also felt like that week, because we switched and we knew we were going back, he game played us, and he tried to work us out in a way that was going to help his team next week. We're like 12 weeks in. We're used to doing just brutal stuff. And he put us through a 4-hour workout that I couldn't walk for like 2 days. And I'm going, is he sabotaging us this week to help their team? So I don't know. That's completely my theory. I'll stick to it, but good guy, but very competitive. And he was ultimately rooting for his team.
Yeah, I had Jessie Pavelka, as Sonia said, and it's kind of funny because, and she can say if she agrees with me, but I think that, I don't know if it was announced before our season started that Jillian wasn't going to be there or not. So I kind of expected her not to be there, but we did our open at the Coliseum, and I remember it was in the middle of midnight? I don't know, midnight to 6 a.m. And so they had all the trainers run down, and so I expected there to be Bob, Dolvet, and another person, because I don't know why I had this feeling that she wasn't going to be there. So when Jen came down, I was absolutely shocked. And then Jessie came down. So we were like, where's Bob? And I think all of us kind of knew at that moment. And, quite honestly, I felt a little cheated at that moment, going, I have worked for how long to try to get on the show. It's for a true Bob, Jillian, Dolvet thing. And, at least I could have got Bob or Dolvet. And I think we all kind of were looking at each other like, wait, there's 2 new ones. And then they announced Dolvet. And one of the things I noticed about Dolvet was, I always thought that he was really tall, and he was, really, he's very in shape, but I never expected when he ran down and he stood next to us to be only a few inches taller than me. So there's things that you see in the way that that's one of the things I noticed about how camera angles work and everything, and how they shoot the show and everything. And I thought that was kind of cool. But I remember right before we started up our giant sandhill, because there were 20 of us. We had to have everybody but 2 would get their ball in the person's tire. And we did our little scramble up the hill. And I never thought I'd make it up the hill in the first place, but I thought, I'm going straight to Dolvet. That's where I'm going. Well, it turns out I got to the top of the hill, and Dolvet, he may have only been like 10 feet away, but Jessie was like right there. So I saw those blue eyes, and he was good looking. I thought, no, he can make me do anything at all. I will do push-ups till the day so I threw my thing in that bucket right there. And poor Damian Woody was the only man on our team. Felt so sorry for him, but we ended up doing well. And then, of course, just like Sonia, and I don't know, Sonia, if you even know this, but we had been talking about, there's no way that they're going to do this without Bob. No one's going to even watch the show if Bob's not on the show. Well, I bet he's a secret trainer someplace. And apparently the PAs were hearing us kind of do a little chatter. We weren't serious about it. We never thought that was true. We just had mentioned it. And they started having code words for Comeback Canyon, I guess. And they were so nervous because they thought we knew. Well, I can tell you, I did not know anything, because when I got out of the limo, they told me they were taking me to the airport, and it took us 3 hours driving in circles. And I'm like, what's going on? And we finally pulled in. And when Bob opened the door, I thought he was the limo driver, because he had a suit and a tie and a black hat on. And I didn't even recognize him. So they reshot that, and then they opened it again. And then I heard him go, Andrea. And I thought, oh my God. And so it was awesome. I worked out the most with Bob, and he was fantastic with me. It was a 2-hour drive into his gym, into West Hollywood. So we'd get up in the morning, drive into West Hollywood, and then drive home. So it was a lot, but he was great. I never had any problems with him or anything. And, we always had Dr. Hogan was there if we wanted to talk anything mental, he was right there with us. So I think a lot of stuff changed from the first seasons and the last seasons. Maybe they learned a few things.
Yeah, on our season, first of all, I want to say we got to stay in the Hummingbird Ranch, which was gorgeous and a dream come true. So, they talked about how like people were allegedly out of food and the accommodations were so bad. No, whatever we asked the PA for, they brought it. We had the best food. We were in a mansion every single day, just walking the desert. It was so beautiful, the surroundings. What were your guys' living like? Did you ever run out of food? And did anybody force you to take diet pills?
I'll start. Never did anyone force us to take any diet pills whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I would self-medicate before going on the ranch, like 2 to 3 times a week. Like I would have NyQuil, whether I needed it or not, just as a sleep aid. And so I took 9 bottles on the show with me, and like they were all gone. I'm like, who took my NyQuil? We couldn't have anything. We couldn't have, anything. There's Chandra. Chandra's on. She says we had everything we asked for minus unhealthy food. That's true. Our refrigerators were stocked. Our freezers were stocked. Our pantries were stocked. Everything was stocked. However, what was a major like blow is when you get there and you're like, okay, I want Chilean sea bass. So they bring you all this Chilean sea bass, and then you come home and you try to buy it. It's like $50 a pound, right? I'm like,
yes.
Man, Dorothy, we're not in Kansas anymore. But they stocked everything for us. We were never out of anything. But the food was great. We cooked everything for ourselves. Now I can see though where people who did not know how to eat in a healthy manner and watch their calories. I can see how they could sabotage themselves either on purpose or not to go home, because, you've got a bunch of almonds, you've got a bunch of whole wheat pasta, right? And there's a lot of calories in that. I will also tell you, we were never asked. And I say we, the white team, that's the only team I can speak to. We were never asked to go under our calorie allotment. My calories were 1,310 calories every day. And I'll tell you, I ate that every day. And people are like, well, you're working out 6,000 to 8,000 calories a day. That's true. However, you can get a lot of spinach. You can get a lot of whitefish. You can get a lot of strawberries and blueberries and stuff like that. You can get a lot of food in that amount of calories. I was honestly never even hungry on the ranch. I felt like it took a lot of energy to chew, and so we didn't, I didn't, the white team, we didn't overeat. And we had everything available to us there that we wanted all the time.
Yeah. Season 13, same, definitely food, not a problem. They would even let us have like not the menu, but the list to shop from and go, what do you guys want? And so we could help fill out. Again, there was nothing unhealthy, right? It wasn't like you were, beverages. I think on the ranch, we just drank water. Usually most of us had coffee on weigh-in day, like a cup or two, and that was it. And then there was unsweetened almond milk, a good 30 calories for a cup to go with your morning cereal or something. So that was about it. A lot of fish, frozen vegetables. And so that was definitely never a problem. Cooking for yourself. Now, I don't know about other seasons, but I feel like on different seasons, there was always like that one lady who was like, Mama, call me Mama. And on our season, we had two mamas, Mama Gail and Mama Kimmy. And then we also had the young buck, Chisholm. And so it was, oh, baby Chisholm. And he would use the baby thing to get mamas to cook for him. And so you kind of had that dynamic. And I mean, when you're working out that much, cooking was a pain. I mean, it was like you're not doing like some long meal or anything. And on our season, we were very fortunate. Conda was a phenomenal cook. And she would, but here's the thing. You're also on a game show. Now with Conda, I had trust because I knew her. But when someone's cooking for you, you're always going, are they going to put something in there? Make me gain weight? Some extra carb? Like you start to get like suspicious of everybody and everything. Side note, we had a little faith-based gathering on Sundays, and we invited anyone who wanted to come. We would maybe have some prayer and read some scripture or something. And, we called it blurch for, because we're not very clever. And we had some contestants come strictly because they thought we were actually forming alliances against them. And so it's like, hey, whatever gets you to blurch, we're good. And so Conda would make, I know this is going to sound gross, but again, when you're on the show, it was cabbage soup. And it was phenomenal. And so kind of her job, she'd make a big pot. My job was to do the math. Every time I said, tell me everything you're putting in the pot, and I would write it down, and I would do the calories, and then I would do the math to go, okay, for every cup, because we had to you had to log all your food, both on paper with the PA, and then you had to go, they had this computer app that they were trying out, and we were trying to log in there as well. And so food was great. Yeah, there was no junk food. There was no cheating. I mean, our weigh-in day was our cheat day. And so we'd have it was pretty traditional. We were going to have French toast made with Ezekiel bread.
Yep.
And then my job was to make candied bacon. So they'd get the sugar-free bacon, and I would drizzle some sugar-free syrup or put a stevia on there, and we'd bake it. And that was like, wow, we're living large now with that. Drugs, I didn't hear of anything, honestly, our season. If it was there, I'm talking about even caffeine pills. If it was there, I didn't hear a lick. There was not one person did I ever hear anything.
Yeah, Dolvet, I remember him coming in the bathroom one day, and he busted out some cocaine, and we snorted it in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then I went to his house, and Bieber came over, and we worked out on cocaine. It was fantastic.
Real lawsuit.
Yeah.
It's going to be clipped on TMZ tomorrow.
Just kidding. I'm absolutely kidding. I didn't even know Dolvet. He was my trainer, and didn't know him. I talked to him for maybe 10 or 15 minutes one time. He trained me on a couple of workouts. Never called me after the show. I was pretty upset about that. After I got sent home, I never heard from him. So I didn't have a good experience with my trainer, unfortunately. I didn't have a good experience with anybody there, really, except my brother. Except Dr. H and my brother. And there's some really nice people on the show, but I think I was such a bad communicator, and I was so insecure and so unhappy. And I think they picked most of us to be unhappy people. I mean, wasn't it in the documentary that almost, the cast type was not happy fat people? It was people that were miserable, and I was definitely miserable. And then you add misery and insecurity together, and you've got a really bad communicator that doesn't know how to listen and just doesn't. So I think I came across as a jerk, and I was a big sweetheart, but it was unfortunate because I spent most of my life kind of turning people off. And I've been working super hard to be a great communicator and really listen to people. And it's been great. Leadership and communication, I think, are a huge part of this journey of getting healthier, is learning how to be a better communicator and a better listener. But absolutely no drugs, nothing, no funny business. The food was amazing on the show. And Dr. H was my trainer. He was the one that gave me a formula to do at home. I trusted him. You know, he's an incredible human being, and his knowledge is undeniable. You know, his expertise in the show with the Raiders. Like my aunt was a cheerleader for the Raiders, so it was like that was in my blood as a little kid to be a part of that team. And then he was the doctor for that team. And I'm just like, this is like heaven, knowing this guy. And then after the show, he opened a weight loss clinic. I kind of talked him into it. I was like, dude, why don't you have a Biggest Loser resort, but something with science behind it, because he wanted to cure diabetes. That was his goal in this whole thing, was to actually cure diabetes through diet and exercise, specifically high intensity exercise. And there is science there from Oxford that you can make a major impact on diabetes with HIIT training. So I was just, I was with him all the way. And unfortunately that didn't last for me. Again, I was a bad communicator. I lost weight, and, I even won the at-home prize, but it didn't change who I was, which was unhappy and a bad communicator. And that doesn't lead to anything good. So, overall, like, the whole thing with the caffeine pills and all that, that's nuts. I guess that's an evolving kind of case that's coming out right now, right? We don't really know what the truth is, but Jillian's got some hot dirt, doesn't she? So yeah, what a trip. What a crazy experience we've all been through, right? Like, we're all crazy. We're all lucky. We're all blessed to have had the experience to like spend this time in our lives to like dedicate it to ourselves for once in our lives, to like really try really hard to do something that we needed to do for us. And so I think we're really blessed to have had the opportunity, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all of that. So God bless the Biggest Loser. I mean,
Absolutely.
Amen.
yeah, 100%. And carnivore, are you still on carnivore, Adrian?
I am teetering off of it a little bit. I am a meat heavy woman, adding a couple whole foods back.
Sweet.
A
Me
meat
too, yeah.
woman. There you go. I like
I'm
it.
a
I like
meaty
that.
woman, except
like
without the
that.
beefy body.
There you go.
Are you eating
Except
some
I would like
honey?
it to be beefy here.
Bang!
Have some big
Look at that
guns,
muscle. Look at the guns.
Yeah, I think keto and carnivore are great tools for people's toolbox, no doubt about it.
I
Is it
think
a
so
forever
too.
thing? I have no idea, but it is a great way to just really get rid of addicting food, hone in on your body, reduce your blood sugar, eat satiating, nourishing foods. I personally think they're great tools, but I
I
also
think
think a
so
whole
too.
food balanced, whole food, not junk food diet can also be really great for people. But Andrea, how about you? What I forget what the question even was. I think it was, did you take
Drugs.
any
You were talking about
drugs?
Drugs.
drugs and
Did
food.
they let you eat? Was there any food there?
No food at all. No, actually, yeah, no. And I'm 100% with what Sonia said. I do remember we kept ordering scallops, and they kept putting it on, and then all this scallops and bananas, and all of a sudden they disappeared. And I was like, why did Cheryl take bananas away? Well, because they had so much sugar in it, we couldn't have. And they had all these beautiful plastic fruits in the bowls that were above the things. And here, one day I took what I thought was an apple until I touched it, and it actually wasn't an apple, it was plastic. But we had plenty of stuff, and you just had to get to the freezer in time. I do remember everybody figuring that out pretty quick, that once they got to the store, they come home and they'd have to take all the labels off all of the food that they would put in there, because they weren't sponsors, clearly. And you had to be there at the right time. You got to put everybody put their names on, like the pros of the chicken and the different stuff. And if you weren't there at the right time, that was an issue, at least. But I was only there for a little while. So, and then when you got to Comeback Canyon, they had a meal plan, and it was, you went to the cafeteria or whatever, but they did put a refrigerator in our rooms, and in there they had like blueberries and strawberries and lunch meats. They did a lot of Trader Joe's stuff and low salt and healthy stuff and almonds, and so they stocked you, so you still had the temptation, if you wanted to eat that stuff, you could. And I'm a night eater. You get me at 11 o'clock at night, and because I don't eat breakfast, I don't eat lunch. I might eat dinner, but once 11 o'clock rolls around, to this day, it's like I don't know what happens in my head, but I need to snack on something. So I'd take turkey breast or something and I would eat it. It was anything bad, and never any drugs. And actually, when I got home, Dr. H was always on a call. We had a group call every week with the new person that would come home, and then we would all do a group call with one of our EPs, and Dr. H would be on there and Cheryl would be on there. We could all ask questions about what was bothering us or troubling us or what we should do. And I remember one time I said, I'm just not eating. This is ridiculous. And I had actually gotten down to about 145 pounds. I ended up gaining weight before I went back to Finale. And Dr. H said to me, he's like, if you want to be unhealthy like that, that's up to you. And he says, but I'm telling you, if you want to lose weight, just cut your leg off. Why don't you just cut your leg off? You'll lose the weight, just cut it off. And I was like, well, he was kind of a jerk to me. But then I was like, I'm being stupid. And, so I started eating. I gained a little bit of weight before Finale. But I think that our Finale, besides, Sonia looked great. But I do remember, Sonia even being so happy that night. But her even saying after that, this isn't my happy weight. This isn't where I want to be. I don't expect to be like this. And 100%. Sonia, you look phenomenal then. You look phenomenal now. And, you really knew. And I wish I knew what my happy weight was. I know it's not 201. 199 would be great. Yeah, no drugs or anything. And I wouldn't have taken them anyway. And actually, we only had decaf coffee and we didn't have anything. And I do remember one time when we wanted chocolate at Comeback Canyon and they gave us some of that 95% Ghirardelli stuff that tastes like dirt. And we put it in our mouths and they were like, you want chocolate? I'm like, yeah. Oh my God. And they gave us a square and I was like, oh God, this is awful. And we ate it though. And by the time I got home, though, because I was gone for a month and a half at least from my house, by the time I got home, I put a Twix bar in my mouth and it tastes like wax. And all I wanted was the dark chocolate. So there were different things that I did learn because I never would have eaten that stuff had it not been for them giving me that. You want chocolate? I'll give you chocolate. No, great. So careful what you wish for.
So, Andrea, did you gain weight? And when you weighed in at the Finale, were you able to get it off before the Finale, or were you higher than when you left the ranch?
No. I had only lost about maybe 30 pounds before I got home. And interestingly enough, I find it interesting that, I brought my scale to Finale to see where I was because I always wanted to see. And because we didn't know when they were going to weigh us in for the final time. And they had Sonia off and she was away and Rob was away and Toma. They weren't with us, but we would step on the scale and I was exactly, believe it or not, right before I weighed, and my weight at Finale, which was I think 170 something, 170, I was 160 in the room, and every single one that stood on the scales and we calibrated them were 10 pounds lighter than what it showed us at our Finale weight. So I couldn't figure that out. It didn't matter that much. But then I went back after Finale and I stepped on the scale and I was still 10 pounds lighter. And it bothers me to this day, but it is what it is. But I lost all mine at home. No, I gained from 145. He said I looked too thin. I wasn't healthy enough, and I said okay, and so I ate and ended up being at 170 at Finale. And so I don't know, I think I was only at 160, but it was 170.
I was just wondering if I was the only one that was alone because I've never went and looked, but after I left the show I face planted. Like the second that filming was done, I started gaining weight, and even at the Finale, I was heavier than when I left the ranch. And I don't know if I'm like the only contestant, which is why I don't get interviewed or anything, because they're like, "Oh, she's the biggest loser of the biggest losers." I'm joking. So I was wondering, let's talk about Dr. H, because this was a big thing in the documentary. And it sounds like I'm not the only person that had a pretty decent relationship with him. So my season, they were like, here's your dream come true. Haha, just kidding. We're sending you home today. But if you lose the most weight at home, you can come back. And that was me. But it was under Dr. H's plan. And he had me eating 1,274 calories. He broke it up into several meals. It was very well rounded with good nutrition. It was 2 workouts a day, split. And when Jaron and I entered the ranch, neither of us were injured, but everybody on the ranch had overuse injuries. I thought his plan was brilliant. I was never allowed to talk to him again after I entered the ranch. I had to move to the trainers. Their plan was totally different. I was kind of shocked, to be honest. And I mean, so I'm going 10 different directions here because I have so many questions for you guys. So I'll stick with, do you guys have a relationship with Dr. H, or did you? And what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I did. Dr. H, obviously he was with us through all of finale and after that. And he was very open with us and said, when you come back to LA, I really want you to come in for a scan. And I really want to catch up with you. And I've done that. Every time I've gone back to LA, I've got, not since he's moved offices, but I have always had a great relationship with him. Dr. H, to me, I can speak for myself. He was always very kind. He also, he was very much, the first thing he said to us, he said, the person that wins this show for this season will get very good at running. But then he also said, I'd give yourself a little bit of time to like ease into it so that you don't hurt yourself. And, so I started at 283 and I thought, man, when I hit 260, I'm going to start running. I don't know why 260 was the magic number, but the first week I lost 23 pounds. So I was like, well, I guess I better start running. And Nona and I ran quite a bit. And that's how I think that's how we stayed on the show for so long. But I had a great relationship with H. I really did. He was always very respectful. He was very kind. He never spoke negatively about our trainers. The only thing he ever said was, he's like, I'm telling you, you don't have to worry about macros. You don't have to worry about fat, protein, blah, blah, blah. You just need to worry about calories, and your calories are this amount, and stick to it and you'll be just fine. But he was very open. He said, do not cut your calories to 500, 600, 700. He's like, that's ridiculous. Don't do it. Your body will go into starvation mode and you won't lose. So that's what he told us.
Yeah, I had a very, I guess, minimal relationship with Dr. H. And so what I mean is it seemed to me that he interacted more with contestants when they went home. My brother went home the very first week on our season, and they're having weekly calls with him. So the very few interactions I had with him were great. Again, with the calories, he's saying this, I would concur with Sonia, like, don't cut. Like he's saying, like, it's like he knew what they're about to tell you to do, your trainers don't do. But then he vanished. Like he was just gone. And then it's like you're going, and they're putting like extreme pressure. Yeah, okay, you can do what he says, but you'll be gone in a week because you won't last. And it's like, okay, so now what do I do with that? So I only saw him at the beginning. The documentary, I'll say, I was going, I'm hearing you. Like, they did the whole thing about Tracy. Her story just touched me, and like her relationship with the doctor was great. And I think he meant it. Like, I think the show should have included him more. Right. But it was also hard for me to believe when he goes, they didn't tell me about the dangerous challenges or anything like that. And because my experience was he came to our very first challenge. I'm talking about the one before we got in. And then that was it. We were there 5.5 months and not one challenge and not one work. Like, again, even I was a little bit concerned the following day when we're doing a 3-hour first workout. They've got the puke buckets lined up. It's 103 degrees in the gym and the doctor's not there. We got Sandy. I'm going, if I fall, this 5'2" guy is going to catch me. You know, like I was concerned. Like I'm like, Sandy's great, but like, so anyway, he comes to the first challenge, and then again, I feel like he did care. He did try to help. Every interaction I had with him or anyone that I know did, he tried to care, but he was pretty non-existent on the ranch in my 5 months there. Not one challenge, not one workout after that very first day did I see him.
I'll tell you 100% that they didn't want him there.
I think that they were, it's like you saw it, the
100%.
tension on the documentary where he's going, they got to eat more calories, and they're going, no. And so, you know, they're hiding, and I'm going, I just remember that first workout going, where's the medical staff? I was scared. I was watching people drop like flies. I was throwing up. My brother blacked out, and they have one trainer there. And where's the doctor that's on staff? I was concerned. I was like, I don't think this is a safe environment right now. I think they're intentionally pushing us past what is healthy without the medical staff. That I didn't see it as a great experience or wise or healthy, that whole first thing. And so that's kind of my take on it.
I will say, I think that they got better as the seasons went on, because for like we had H was at a few of our challenges, but they had like 3 or 4 trainers, ACTs. I mean, I don't want to speak incorrectly, but I think, you know, between Kelly and Shah and Smidar, I think we had 2 or 3 there every time, like taping us up, making sure that we're staying hydrated, you know, all the things. So I think they probably did learn their lesson as people were falling left and right. And I didn't feel compromised. Sometimes if it was too hot, that they would make us drink sodium bicarb, which we hated because we didn't understand the concept of sodium and salt. So we're like, no, it's going to make us retain water, which is not the case. But when it's 105 out and you're moving pounds of sand, you need that back in your body. So I will say, I think they got better as the seasons progressed, because we did have a lot of attention, and I never felt like we were unsafe.
I want Mike and Andrea to speak, but I just want to say, in the early seasons, there was no one. We just had Sandy. And it wasn't that the show didn't want the doctor there. It was that they wanted to make the trainers the doctors, and they weren't. They weren't a psychologist. They weren't nutritionists. They weren't obesity specialists. And that's, in the early seasons, that's all we had was the trainer. And when I, you know, because Dr. H was my trainer until I got on the show, and then they were like, we have to cut that off. Cut it off. You're not allowed to have that anymore. But go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, I mean, we only had our trainers 1 day a week for a few hours. I don't know about y'all, but like it was all video. It was all for filming. You know, I never saw my trainer during the week. Maybe once he came. I don't know what everybody else's experience was, but it was like, go burn those calories, figure it out. The gym's over there, the pool's right there, the walking is over there, and go do it. So trainers, right? We were our own trainers. I don't know if, anyway, as far as Dr. H goes and that whole thing, it would have been great if he was there. I know, living with him, I lived with him. I spent a lot of time with him, and he cared so much. And I think he cared too much for the show to keep going. You know, he would have been, you know, stopping production a lot, like, you know, with y'all falling down and puking. And I mean, I can't imagine. We're so blessed, buddy, that we got to work out during the winter. And, you know, it wasn't hot for us, thank God.
Yeah, other than at the very beginning, but you're right, it actually got cold.
Yeah, fantastic time to lose weight, in my opinion. I spent a lot of time outside, you know, losing weight, walking the streets of San Francisco, and but yeah, that's my take on Dr. H and that whole thing and the workouts.
I definitely agree with Sonia. I think that we had overload, definitely. I mean, I don't know if it's because 15 was kind of a controversial ending. But with us, H was great. He was there a lot, not necessarily daily. When I was at Comeback, he came all the time. They checked on us. He called, even after I was home. We had the calls. The trainers, they were very active. They knew what was going on at all times. I never ever felt unsafe at all. And the trainers for us, I mean, they were, Jen probably was there more than all of them, at least from what I hear. I wasn't there on the ranch that long, but I can tell you, I saw Bob at least 3 times a week and going in and back. But H was great, and he also gave his personal number to us, and I still have it. And also, when I got done, because now with my gut situation, I still have IBD, ulcerative colitis. I never was able to ditch that. So for me now, I called him because one of my doctors said, your fat cells, when you lost fat so rapidly, your cells stayed open. And when you got your disease, it filled them with lymph fluid. And so your typical diet is not going to work, which is why I say it'll be interesting to see if the GLP-1 does anything. But Dr. H even had me do a DEXA scan here in Detroit. And I sent him the results, and he read it and recommended stuff, and he's been great. He's been there all the time. So I really agree with Mike. He does care. And I also agree with, they probably didn't want him because he would have stopped quite a few things. But he was there for our Sandhill challenge and very concerned about everything that went along. But I did notice that when Tracy went down, if that would have happened, I think in our season, you would see him in a scene. And if you didn't, you'd see Mark or one of our other trainers right there. But I would think that if it was being filmed in our season, you would have seen H. I don't know about after me. Sonia can probably speak to that, but I would think that H was probably there quite a few times.
Okay, so we're going to go into the ditch for a second, and then we're going to end it on a high note, because we are probably the most positive group in the whole wide world. We didn't get one squeaky wheel in here. I've actually talked to many of you guys. And one thing you'll see, and I think you guys have probably seen this with the alumni, this is to me what's proof that obesity is much more than a diet, is that so many of us want to succeed and then also inspire others. Almost every person that was chosen for this show really has a good heart and wants to help others. So knowing that you guys are good people, I just want to ask, was there anything disappointing or shocking about the show itself? And then we'll go into the happy one that I know you guys will have great answers for. So I'll start first. I was shocked that our gym was made out of canvas, and that you had to shut the fans off when we were filming in the middle of the desert because it messed with the microphones. And so when we were sweating really hard, like the last chance workout was so fake on our season because we were sweating to death because of the situation being in the desert and not having fans. The other thing that was just a little taken back for our season was the lack of staff that was there to actually help, which led, I think, to a lot of disorderedness. We were just, the trainers would come when they were set to for the cameras, and when they weren't there, we were just trying to lose as much as possible, however that meant, and that was not a healthy thing. And then the other thing that was just kind of shocking was on our season, when we were filming a week, it could be a whole lot longer than a week. And I wish that I had the journal today, because I used to write everything down back in the day, and I don't have it anymore, but it was really long sometimes. So when you saw people losing 20 weeks on our season, that was like a multi-week situation. So that's my dirt. Okay, what do you got, Sonia? Anything?
Man, what you said, it just like gave me PTSD. Thank you very much. But you are so right about the gym. They would turn the air conditioning off in the gym when it was 4 degrees hotter than hell, right? I mean, it was awful. And so, yeah, I do remember that. And I think probably the biggest, and I know this is going to sound really stupid, but the biggest shock to me was the weigh-in process. I had no idea, first, that was just a prop. Okay, I should have known that.
You're telling it all now. Okay.
I wrote a book about it. It doesn't even matter.
Okay.
1, it's just a prop. 2, that you weigh in at 5 a.m. the day before, the day of, and the day after. So we're getting up at 5 a.m. to pee in a cup, 1, and to what was the other one? You had to
do the scan where they
the scan. So we had to do that. I had no idea that we were going to have to, get up at 5 a.m. for 3 days in a row to weigh in. So I also I was very surprised at the process of, from week to week, like Adrian said about how, our first weigh-in of actual days, it was 12 days. So did I really lose 23 pounds in 1 week? No, I didn't. But I lost 23 pounds in, 12 days. So, but yeah, the scale was mind blowing to me, and that we had to get up at the butt crack of dawn every, the day before and the day after, and not just the TV weigh-in.
You're forgetting you had to stand there for 6 hours too while we
Oh,
filmed.
yeah.
Those first 2 weigh-ins, I thought there are some fates worse than death, and this could be it. Because we were there for 6 hours. And I'm like, what is taking so long? Poor guys, they have to lift their shirt, put the shirt down, take the shirt off, it was terrible. So, yeah.
Okay, I'll do a small intro one that kind of along the lines of what you're talking about. And then I'll give the tea. I actually walked off the show when there were 5 people left on my season. And so I can give you, why I was disappointed there. So
look at you. Look at you.
There it is. There's Tanya.
It was bothering me. I knew it was right here because I often put it in the background as I'm recording different videos.
So the opening weigh-in for us here, I didn't like the TV part. I mean, I know it's TV. And I'm I know they have to do it. And I'm learning this to get over it. But when you're there and it's messing with you, it was disappointing. And so our first weigh-in, we had watched the show before. And you see Joe Schmo lost 37 pounds in 7 days. So you have these numbers in. And so go to season 13. And we start our weigh-ins, and we're 4 to 5 people deep. We don't have one person even hitting double digits. It's 7, 9, 8. And so everybody is sitting there and we're just oh my gosh, we suck. We're just the worst. We are the worst season that has ever existed. And so anyway, this is happening. So they had to stop our weigh-in and bring in the executive producer. And he had to come in and tell us that for our season, they changed how they did it. And so they go, hey, you guys aren't giving us anything we can air. You're you guys are weighing in and then everybody's depressed. And so they're we got to tell you so that you can feel happy about your accomplishment. Number one, in the past, we always told people 3 hours before their initial weigh-in that they were weighing in. And everybody would then drink a gallon of water because any loser knows it's 8 pounds. And then they would weigh in and it was 8 pounds of fake weight that they gained. And then that first week, it just flushed out. And that was 8 extra pounds. Also, he said some seasons, the first weigh-in, it was 21 days. So these people were 37 pounds were losing it in 21 days. And ours was 8. So they gave us no notice. They just said, get on the scale. And we're we haven't even been picked for the show. we did our first weigh-in prior to being selected. And then they go, okay, now that you got off the scale, if you get picked, that was your weigh-in. And we're like, oh, okay. And so then we couldn't fake pad it with the water. And then only 8 days. So our season, it was like the numbers. I was the last person to go. And before me, the biggest weight loss was 15, which is usually like the worst person on any other season. I dropped 22 pounds, and I want to come clean that I didn't do anything more than anyone else on my season. Day one, they took me off of 2 different kinds of blood pressure medicine, and the amount of water that released in my body was the extra 7 pounds. And so we wound up winning the weigh-in because I got off my blood pressure meds. And so that's kind of my small one. All right, the big one. There are 5 people left on season 13. And we, being myself and Mark Corneliuson, decide we've had enough, and we walked off the show. Still in contention for the finals, still in contention for the $250,000. And it was just too much at one point. It was disappointing. And so they had started allowing, there was something personal going on with somebody that I'm not going to share. And they were allowing calls with their person at home. And so we had received word that all the previous contestants, they were doing the game thing where everybody gets to come back. And everybody can still be the Biggest Loser. Everybody's still live. And so there was a combination of a lot of things happening. Our season was long. It was 5.5 months. I had a couple things that were specific to me. Number one, I love my family, and I missed them a lot. And while I was on the show, my wife had a baby. And so I felt like I had sacrificed the time with my family. And as I was there grinding it out mentally, I said, this matters. Because I'm taking away time from my family, I have to make the most of this. I have to grind, and I have to view this as my job. And the sacrifice has to matter because my family is sacrificing their time with Dad. I'm not getting to see my kids' first 3 months of life. And so all this matters. And so the second thing that played into my decision was when I came home, they let us home for 18 days to see if we could survive temptation at home. But really, we were going home for Christmas because it was, it was a long season. And so my family had to take down all the Christmas decorations because it was like February, like when this aired. Oh. And so I came home for Christmas, and I got to see my brother who had been home, and he said, we talked about the show a bit, and he goes, I hated it. And he goes, and I'm glad I went home week 1. And he said, it turns out that I was going to lose my COBRA insurance for my kids. My brother has 11 children. And he said, had I stayed, the COBRA insurance didn't work. I was going to lose it. And so I said, so I had that information. And so now, we find out they're bringing all the contestants back. And so there's nobody that's happy. The 5 remaining people are all livid. You've been fighting and fighting and fighting. And so we refused to get dressed one day, and we sat down with the producers, and we said, we're not getting dressed. We're going to have a conversation, and we're going to talk about this. And, 2 of my castmates didn't like the way the conversation was going. And so they got up and they walked out of that family room and slammed the doors. And I was going listen, our time away from our family, to me, has to matter. It has to count for something. And I told Allison, I go, this feels like when you're in elementary school and you're on the playground and you're winning a game 70-0. And some kid goes, next touchdown's worth 100. Right. So the people, we've been dominating and doing this thing. But now somebody can come in and just win at the last second. I go, it just doesn't seem equitable. I go, and you just saw the 2 people storm out. So can we just have a discussion? We know it's in the contract. We know this. We know it's legal. We know they can do it. but we're human beings, and this is really, really messing with all 5 of us. Can we have a conversation? And they said, okay, you're right, buddy. We're going to give us an hour. We're going to go talk and see what we can do. And so I said, okay. So we took off, the 5 of us with a PA, and we hiked to Inspiration Point, and we're going down the ridge, and we get a call on the walkie. Come on back. They're ready to have the meeting with you. And we said, okay. So we walked down, and we're just hanging out by the pool, and to have the meeting off camera. We're not dressed with the producers, and instead they just ambushed us. They did the TV thing, and they said, let's just screw them over. Let's have the cameramen and the audio guys run in and catch them at the camera. It's going to anger them beyond measure, because they're going to know that we're just saying, America will never know that we told you we were going to try to work this out with you, because we were never. And we want to catch your angry reaction on camera. So they ran in, and, Bob and Dolvett had to fake like they didn't know what was going on. They're like, what's going on? And we just kind of sat there. And I think we had been messed with quite a bit on the gaming side of things and the production side of things. So we just didn't react for a second. And they're like, oh, well, what do we do? There's no TV here. And then I just kind of broke it, and I stood up, and I went to Dolvett, and I said, hey, I just want to say thank you for everything you did for me. I think you've really tried to help my life, and you have. But sometimes in life, I get to own my decisions, and I'm ready to go home. I'm done with this. I want to be with my family, and so I'm gone. And so Mark did the same thing, and so we went from 5 down to 3. Kind of a little bit of a funny memory. As we're leaving, NBC leaked it to the press. So there was a helicopter flying over to try to see who were the people that were leaving Biggest Loser. And the paparazzi was gathered at the gate. There was like 30 people trying to wait, because they didn't tell them who was leaving. And so what they did was they got the 3 PA vans, the white vans, and they dressed people up to look like us. And they sped out through the gates out the front. But they had another van in the back that me and Mark were laying on the floor, looking at each other under the seats going, can you believe this is our life? We are literally hiding on the floor of a van so the paparazzi doesn't see us. And so we went out the back way, and we went home. So it was disappointing. But it was time to go home, and I missed my family. So there was a lot happening there. So there's some good tea for you.
For me, it was no music while I was working out in the gym. That, the first thing I tell people is they have to remember that the gym, yes, it's a gym, but it's a set. It's not like, I had to go out. If you have to go to the bathroom, you have to go out in the little outhouse thing or little portable bathrooms and skip over the big holes. And I still remember to this day when I asked Ranger Scott what the big holes were, and he told me they had tarantulas in them. And I never had to go to the bathroom again after that at the gym. But having no music to work out with was awful for me, because I do my best like mood stuff when I'm playing good music or whatever. So whenever filming would happen or anything, you couldn't, listen to music. And the second thing is filming certain things for hours and then not having them make the show. So I know that Sonia was with me and when our first workout, and we pushed that stupid bus all the way around the whole mile, minus the driveway, but we all had to push this mini bus that said Biggest Loser. We had to push it around, and they didn't get it right the first time, so we had to push it a second time. None of that aired. I've done countless different workouts. What I found was interesting is I was on the ranch with somebody who didn't necessarily want to work out that day, and she was in a little bit of a mood, and she and I never worked out together in the gym, yet somehow they have footage of me and her working out side by side with Bob yelling at us. in the gym, and talk about some great post-production, because it never happened. But that's the other thing, was just like filming things and seeing how things are said or whatnot on camera, or not seen at all. Those two things were the only negatives that I could take away.
Before we go to Mike, can I just add something? We only had like 3 songs, and they would play over and over and over again. And I don't know if you guys know, one of my castmates was a gal named Kai, and she made a big splash on how much she hates and how we were just animals. And she's like probably the most negative alumni that we have. But here's the funny part. One of the songs that played over and over and over again was, "Does that make me crazy? Does that make you crazy?" So every time I hear that song, I just think of Kai. Anyway, sorry, that was Mike, do you have any?
I mean, well, the thing that made me the most upset was when we got to the hotel. One of the casting people said, and I guess she didn't like me. I was really flirtatious with women back then, which was probably not a good thing. So I might have turned her off, and she said, you should start eating healthy. So when you go to the store to go shopping, you should eat healthy. And when you get on the show, you won't get sick. And I was a yes to everything that everyone told me there. I didn't think for myself. I was just like, you're experts. Whatever you say, I'm going to do. And thank God for Dr. H, because I listened to exactly what he said, on top of all the things I added on top of his prescription. So I lost 14 pounds in the hotel before I even got on the show. And so by the time I got on the show, I lost 13 pounds in 7 days, because it was a legit 7 days, like Buddy was saying. And
Oops.
so, and I know. And then Buddy was like drinking soda. Like you were playing the game, right? I remember your cart was like crazy full of garbage. And I'm like, he's so dumb. I didn't know the game. I didn't watch the show. I wasn't logically thinking. I was just like listening to these people, and everything they told me to do, I was a yes. So
prior to that, first weigh-in,
Huh?
prior to that first weigh-in, there was a lot of Mexican food and meatballs. That's what I remember in the whole.
You had soda in your cart too, if I recall.
I think I was mixing diet orange and diet root beer at the time. That was my drink of choice.
Oh, you were doing diet, no sugar.
Well, yeah, because that's super healthy, right? I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, we were eating deli meats. We went straight low carb. So it was just like a bunch of deli meats. And yeah, we lost a ton of weight. So that happened. That's it. That was kind of, and then Dolvet not, really being there for me kind of bummed me out. Those two things.
I lied. I want to ask one more question before I go to the good honey pot one. Okay. I would like any thoughts on challenges and temptations. They talked a lot about how they hated the temptations and stuff. So I'm going to start with, when I got on the show, I came in late. So, Buddy, you would have had a really hard time with me. The contestants had a real hard time with me. They had been sequestered from their family for months. I come in, I've lost more weight than them. I'm not injured. And they've been stranded on a desert island away from their family and struggling,
Yeah.
So then we get on the show, and I'm like, but I earned my spot here. I earned it. And every single challenge that we had was geared against Jaron and I. All of them were political. None of the challenges were like something we could actually win, because they were, whoever can move 1,000 pounds, and one person got tires and one person got water bottles. We got the bricks. So we had to move 1,000 bricks, and they had to move 10 water bottles. Like every challenge was against us. I always thought that the temptations were stupid. Like, we're here to win, and I don't understand. It gives the stigma that everybody who struggles with their weight is just eating donuts, and it's not true. So I hated those. But anyway, go ahead, Sonia.
We didn't have a lot of. We had challenges. Like I think about our first challenge was Sand Mountain, which was awful. We had spin bike challenge. And I'm just trying to think through, I think the only challenge that we had that actually involved food was a tailgate challenge, where it was like Super Bowl. And if you went into a room and you ate X amount of calories, you would win immunity or something, right? But besides that, we didn't have a lot of temptations. We had a lot of a lot of challenges. The one temptation was when the red team won and they sent the white team to Vegas. But I was kind of strict with the team. I'm like, we're not drinking, we're not doing this, because they sent us away so that we would lose, and we came back and won. So we didn't have a lot of the, making towers with our mouth and donuts, right? We didn't have anything like that I can recall.
The only thing I'll say about a challenge is my initial thought. The very first thing we had to do to make it onto the ranch, you picked one teammate, and they had to do a 40-yard sprint. Mm-hmm. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm obviously not a health expert, but who thought it was a good idea to take morbidly obese people who have not been exercising, and very first thing, let's have them sprint and see how that turns out. And halfway through the sprint, my friend Mark tore his hamstring, something vicious. And I mean, it was gross. Like from his knee to his hip was like shades of, it was just unbelievable. And I'm just going, was this not a little bit predictable? Was this not could we, so the whole, I don't know. So I thought that was not smart, but what do I know? The food challenges I think they were just horrible. And the documentary, I will say JD Roth claimed that these were for the benefit and the health and teaching the contestants a life lesson. I'm going to go ahead and call bull on that. There's just no way that just wasn't a game thing, that it wasn't just drama. Hey, who will eat the most in our season? Someone ate 18 Reese's peanut butter cups to get control and redistribute the teams. And I just think, I thought it was horrible because, again, I was one of the people there trying to get a grip on things. And now you're sitting there trying to weigh out, okay, you're trying to go, is me staying here going to help me learn more? That's kind of what was sold. It's I think twice in the documentary you heard this was the lottery ticket. And I don't know what people meant like that. Do you mean you're going to win money? But I think a lot of people said, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to get some help and some information. And you did. You did get some of that. So you're now trying to go, how do I weigh out eating 10 Reese's peanut butter cups with how far back that's going to put me in an addict thing versus if I do it, then I get to stay and I learn more and it helps me. And so I just thought it was not, I didn't like it. I thought it was a for TV thing. And obviously it worked on that level. But as a person and as somebody looking at the show, I say no. A weird thing about those food challenges, our Chinese restaurant, number one, when we went in the first time for it, they're like, don't eat the food in the middle. We have hairsprayed it because that makes it look shinier for TV. Yep. And I'm like, oh, that's a TV thing. And then the other thing that was really kind of bizarre is on our season where we did that food challenge and there's all this Chinese food was also the same place that we shopped for our clothes during makeover week. They made that same room into a store where we shopped for our suits and dresses and everything. And so that's just kind of a weird, funny background thing.
That's the only thing that one woman that's on that, that's on the documentary that's never been on the show. I have no idea where they picked her up. She wrote a book or something about it. That's the one thing that because I shook my head at her a million times. I was just like, you have no place to even come from. You weren't on the show. You're just speaking whatever. Okay, great. But I had to agree with her with the one thing. I mean, it isn't my reality to walk into a room with 1,000 cupcakes and everything and mountains of food. That's true. But you know what? We all know after season 1, everybody knew what we were going into. So it wasn't meant to be a realistic situation either. And I will agree with Sonia. I think any of the challenges on our team, there were more mental type challenges or physical type challenges. You guys, I of course didn't have to worry about that so much, but that woman, she just drove me nuts. I don't know I don't know why I let it bother me so much, but I keep seeing her like, who is this person? Why are
You
these?
talking about the cop?
What's
No,
that?
Was it
no,
the other woman? The
the
one, the F Bob lady?
There was like a body positivity lady, right?
Oh
Is
yeah,
that who you're talking about?
her name
yes,
was like
yes.
Oh,
Short gray hair,
her. Oh,
anyway.
yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
something. She was I think she's a podcaster, but she had no idea what she was
Yeah.
talking about. She had no idea what was going on with the show. Like,
No.
Yeah.
The
no.
other person who spoke, who you probably don't know, her name was Jen, and she worked with Dr. H. She was on my season. She was an at-home contestant, so she didn't do any of the filming, but then she was behind the scenes on a lot of seasons, helped with the clinic, helped with Dr. H's office. So she knew a lot of the ins and outs of Biggest Loser.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Jen Turns, right?
Yeah, no, I respect
Not
her.
She's talking about the
You're talking about the other lady that nobody knows who
Yes.
that is. Yeah.
no.
Yes,
Right.
that no one knows. I don't think.
Yeah. So Mike, what about you and the challenges? Anything?
I still have a puzzle piece from the puzzle. There was a big puzzle with our pictures on it, and I still have that. In fact, I have my brother's as well. I wasn't involved in. I think I did. Was it that one challenge? Although when we came back and you were gone already, right, buddy, for the last challenge?
I was.
Yeah. I kicked butt. It was so fun. It was so.
That's
I
the kind of
like.
challenge I was looking for.
Huh?
I heard you
Like a
did
real
great.
challenge of like your strength and your endurance and your.
Yeah, it was. I did. I had fun. Like I was like really enjoying it. Like there was a challenge to count calories, and then you had to match these blocks with the calories. And I had become so good at learning calories based on weights from all the weights and measures, and really being diligent about that. That I killed that, and then I stayed stood on one leg for like 3.5 hours with Jeremy and God, I can't think of her name right now.
Conda?
No, Gail's daughter, Lauren, with Lauren, and it was freezing. It was like 28 degrees outside, and I could have kept going, but I think I could have beat Jeremy. He says there's no way, but I don't know. I was a mental juggernaut at that point, but I did. I jumped off and ended up losing the challenge because I knew that if I got in the final three, there's no way I could have won the at-home prize because Kim was just. Did you see Kim on our season? Kim Nielsen, former WWE wrestler, really like a real true killer athlete, and hadn't been heavy for very long, so she had just melted. And there was no way that I could have won any kind of prize. And I definitely was there for some money. I don't know about any of y'all, but I wanted some money, and so that worked out. So as far as challenges go, the first one was whatever, but the second one that I was on was amazing. Except for the freezing.
Bringing up a great point, which is one of the flaws of the show, was just how not fair it is to have different bodies competing, to have men competing with women, to have 20-year-olds competing with 50-year-olds, to have premenopausal women and menopausal women competing with young, it's totally not fair or equal, but I guess that makes good TV. Okay, we have 2 viewer questions.
Yeah.
One is just yes or no, okay? Do you guys still talk to your trainer? I'm a no.
Yes.
No.
What?
Yes.
No.
And do any of you guys use a CPAP at all?
No.
No.
Yes.
No. Yes.
No.
You're not alone. You're not alone. Okay. All right. Here's the sweet question, because this is one that honestly to me matters the very most, which is what did you learn from the show, good or bad? So mine is I came in and I truly thought I was unlovable. I thought I was unworthy as a human being unless I lost that weight. And when I lost the weight, I realized I'm the same person. And this actually has to come from me, not other people. And I am a lovable person. And it actually took me like 10 years after that to really actually get it. And I had to work at it every single day. And to be honest, to this day, I have to work on that. To this day, sometimes it creeps back in and I have to remind myself, that's not real. You're a lovable human being. You're created by God. You are absolutely lovable. The second thing that I feel is the greatest gift of being on The Biggest Loser, the greatest gift of all, is being selected out of hundreds of thousands of people and realizing literally anything in the world is possible. I could win the lottery. I could be president. I could go to outer space. Like literally anything is possible. And I wish that every single human being could experience that and actually know deep in their heart that truly anything is possible. There was times when I was 330 pounds in an abusive marriage, broke as a joke, thought, what am I going to do? Life is terrible. And all of it turned around because I knew deep down in my heart, and to me, through God, anything is possible. So those are the things that I got. Those are the gifts, the biggest gifts that I got from The Biggest Loser. Sonia.
I'll go. Oh.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
So for me, I got fat when I was 10. I gained 50 pounds in 3 months. 10. And I went with my dad in a truck, and I gorged at smorgasbords, all you can eat at these truck stops. And when I gained that weight from 15 to 41 years old, I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think that losing weight would ever happen. I had tried. I didn't have the courage to stick with anything. I didn't have the understanding that if you just stay with something, there is no perfect diet, but if you stay with a diet long enough, you're probably going to get results, some kind of result, and a program. So I didn't believe that it would ever happen for me. So the fact that all the, and I thanked on the alumni page, I thanked all the biggest losers before my season for the sacrifice. And I thank you, you were one of them, Adrian, for your sacrifice to show me for the few few episodes that I watched before I was on the show, that it was possible because people that look like me had done it. So the show gave me the courage to try and really try something for the first time in my life with all of my heart and all of my belief, and giving it over to, the people that had done it before me to show me the way, because I needed a hand at that time. I needed help. And then once they showed me the way, and then I realized, oh, I don't need their help. I just need to keep going. And so I'm so grateful for actually doing it. And then the rest of it has been this amazing journey. Like you were saying, like anything is possible if you show up. You can't think about it. You can't dream and hope for it. To hope is not real. If you show up and do the work and don't worry about it, it's ultimately going to turn into something good, because you're going to learn through that process of every day I come, I do this thing, and then you eventually start to get results. It's like learning guitar. I play guitar. You can't play guitar for half an hour or 100 hours in a row and get good at it. You got to show up every single day, an hour, 2 hours, and keep going. And it's the same thing with health. Every single day you do something in that direction, and you get these tools in your tool belt. Not to mention, I'll leave on this note. I have a hypothesis that the sickness of obesity is not in the brain. It's not in your memories in your brain. It's in your body. It's in the repetitions of the patterns that your body has made to go to that refrigerator in the middle of the night and gorge, to not go to the gym, to sit on the couch, to watch TV. Those excuses are not here. This is just for survival. The body and the gut are the genius. And they're the ones where that programming exists. So if you get that body to go do those other things, like go to the gym, measure your food, or follow some kind of a program, or create something for yourself, and you do it, and your body does it over and over and over again, eventually you will get success because you showed up. And so that's what I think. I think everything's in the body. The mind is just a computer for survival. And all the thoughts and all that other stuff are meaningless. All the science, all the words are just so weak. But when the body shows up and does the work, you get results. We all did the work with our bodies. We got results from our bodies doing the thing. And overthinking it, again, is just, it's hurtful. So just go show up. Go do it. You deserve it. Everyone deserves it. We all do. We only get one life, right? According to the good book. So show up.
Then we get to live forever.
Yeah, right? So for me, this is the last time I'm ever going to talk about The Biggest Loser in public. I'm just over it. the same story, the same thing over and over again. I'm just tired. I have a life to live, and The Biggest Loser was a part of it, and I'm super grateful for it. And I love the opportunity that God gave me to do it. And I just want to live my life now as the new me, and the new possibility for gratitude to just be here and to experience nature and love and life and good food and good family and community, and live a life outside of that old narrative, because my body wants to move forward and do new things and do the things that are good for me. And it seems like hashing all this stuff up always brings all this pain back up and the old me. And I worked hard to not be that guy anymore. So I appreciate you having me on here and me getting to just spew my truth to hopefully maybe someday somebody will see this and it'll help them. That's why I did this one last time. But I honestly think that when the time is right, the teacher will come. And it was for us. The time was right. The teacher came. God gave us these teachers, you know, and I used to think that it was my responsibility to pay it forward and give and to help people with it, all the knowledge. But it fell on a lot of deaf ears. And when they're ready, they come to me. They find me. It just happens. For me, just being me and being happy and grateful. You know, they want to know why I'm happy. Why are you grateful? And then I get to share my story then when they want to know. So that's it. Love you all, and I hope you all have a wonderful life.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Don't leave yet. Okay.
Okay.
Sonia, Andrea, buddy, how about you guys? Any lessons?
Yeah,
Gary's here.
huh?
Sorry.
Unlike
Hey,
unlike
Gary.
I will talk about this until the cows come home. Like
Me
I
too.
will talk to anybody about it day in, day out, because for me, well, it didn't drum up any bad feelings whatsoever. For me, it was I look at this, you know, millions of people applied to go on The Biggest Loser, millions, and 381 of us got to call it home. And for me, it gave me a greater platform in which I get to share the love of Christ with people. You know, people will have a conversation with me now about health and wellness, you know, and then I get to share my faith with them. That's part of it. But you asked about takeaways. I think what I've realized is that weight loss is not the key to happiness, but what weight loss is the key to for so many people is the first key to unlock the first door to a world of possibility that they never knew existed, because we don't just have a weight problem in our country. We have a weight mystery, right? We have people who are very successful CEOs. They're very successful neighbors, friends, moms, dads, family members, but yet their weight hinders them in every way. Maybe it makes them not feel great about themselves, or maybe it's something that they you know, that just shackles them. And what I've recognized for me is that I will never let the scale hold me hostage again, but it will forever keep me mindful. I will never be tied to it again. And I'm not going to allow a $30 appliance that I can buy at Walmart tell me what my worth and my value is. So I've loved the experience. I will share it with anyone till the day I die, because what I believe is that even though Biggest Loser was in my past, I'm so grateful for that experience. And though I don't live on that experience, you know, what I do love to do is to be able to inspire people who just don't think that they're worth it, and they don't think that they can do it. And we expect to be great in a lot of areas. We expect to be great in our jobs. We expect to be great in every realm of our life, but we don't expect to be great in the area of health and wellness. And I want to change that. I want to change that, because I'm going to tell you, if I can do it with a very significant eating disorder, anyone can do it. And I just think that we give up before we get to that point of being great. And you know, what would I tell a lot of people in my clinics is at this time will be different. And Mike, I agree with you, man. People got to show up. You know, Yoda says there is no try, right? Either do or not do. Stick
Mm-hmm.
do it. But sometimes, you know, one of the best things that I loved about Jen is she saw a belief in me that I didn't see in myself. And it took her to invest that in me. And now I have the opportunity to invest that in a lot of people, to where now in my clinics, we've lost about, we've lost over 10,000 pounds, and so it just is oftentimes trying to get people to take that first step. So I am forever grateful for The Biggest Loser. I'll talk about it until I turn blue, and I'll share my experience with anyone who wants to hear at any time. And I'm all for bringing the Biggest Loser back, making some changes.
Me too. Let's be behind the scenes.
Let's go get it. I loved it. So
All right.
Sean, yes, I would go do it again tomorrow.
I guess I'll
Amen
say
to that.
my thinking that was helped is I think that God and other people are way more for us than we think. And I think if we can learn to live in the moment and stop, if you're like me, 99 people could tell me you're doing good. And if somebody goes, hey, did you gain weight? I'm gonna take, I have in the past taken 99% of my time and thought about that one comment and not the 99. And so I think sometimes we think God is like that. Oh, you're a sinful, you've done this wrong, and he wants to hold it, and other people too. And it's not that other people, a couple of people don't, but I just, I guess one day I just decided to live in the moment. Before I'd been there a couple months, and in the morning I was reading the scripture, and I read this verse that said to do everything for the glory of God. Mm-hmm. And I just got really excited because I felt like in my heart, it was God saying that I could, because I didn't think much of what I was doing was glorifying to him. And I was living there on the ranch completely fearful. Like every day I'm going, well, I didn't die yesterday. Like, this is hard. And like, I don't know, I probably won't die today, but I'm not sure. I was like afraid, like they wouldn't tell you what you're doing. And so I was like holding back out of fear and out of like, I think I didn't believe in myself like maybe other people did. They're rooting you on and they're for you. And they're saying, yeah, you can do it. You can glorify God. You can glorify your community. You can make people proud. And so I got really excited that day when I read that verse, and I got in the van and we didn't know where we were going. And I gave like this pep talk to the whole red team. I'm like, guys, I don't care. Whatever they bring our way today, we're going to like dominate. Like no fear. Like I'm like Coach Carter buddy. Like I was just like another person. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm going like, I hope it's like lift a large rock over your head or something, because all the challenges were really made for the smaller people. I feel like the bigger people had an advantage with the weight loss and the end game, but all those challenges were for small people. And so I'm going, okay, let this be finally something that demonstrates strength. And so we go to LA and they take us into a disco club, and we walk in and there are 30 people doing Zumba.
Oh, God.
Zumba. And it's like the queen of Zumba's leading, and the other 30 people are all Zumba instructors, and they know the, and I'm like, I'm sitting there going, oh, really? This is where I can really, like, and so, but then, the people that I was giving the pep talk to in the van are like, all right. And I was like, oh, really? This is where I picked, I looked up to God and I go, really? This is where we picked to go for it. Female Latin dancing. Have you seen me? But I just decided I would go for it, and it was wild. I had so much energy coming off of me. I was really bad, by the way, but it was like the energy was just like I was just having fun. And so the queen from the stage, at one point, she points at me and she goes, "You get up here on stage." And I was like, "Oh, yes." And I went up there, and somehow I took over the routine. She was leading and I just took it over. I did my classic rain thing and I did a robot, and somehow it turned into just the funnest thing. And I'm going, what would it be like to live life like this? Like whatever comes our way, we just kind of go for it and we have fun. I think when that episode aired, I was on the cover of like all these social media Zumba sites. And I'm like, have you seen me? So anyway, I think I didn't believe in myself. I was more afraid. And then the community that you form, I'll say this, like, it's just one of the reasons I came on here tonight was for you guys. I wanted to hear you. I wanted to see what your stories are. And like, I think there's something special about community. And on our season, 3 weeks before the finale, this community that we were just there for each other, Mike's brother called me and he said, hey, I heard that you invited Mark to speak at your church. And I said, yes, I did. He's coming in like a week. He's like, well, I would like to, what we did on Biggest Loser was so cool. I would like to come to Michigan and would you do my wedding? And so they came from New York, and of the 20 contestants that were on our season, 12 of them, 3 weeks before finale, came to Wayne, Michigan, and we did a wedding in the park together. Mm-hmm. I officiated, Mark did the prayer, Chisholm played guitar. I think Cassandra wrote a poem, Gail brought flowers. And I just go, where is this? I think this is possible. I think when people just are going for it for themselves, but in community and they care for each other's, I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think people need more of that today.
For me, it's definitely been the community and our Biggest Loser family. Has to be the number one most beautiful and amazing thing that I've taken away from the experience, beyond the knowledge of, knowing that if I did it once, I can and do it again. But I do not feel judged by my Biggest Loser family, whether I'm thin or whether I'm heavy again. And I was very fortunate to take over the Biggest Loser race series. I purchased the licensing rights today, and I still own all of the equipment. And at least when we rebranded to the race series instead of the run walk, it turned to race series. I had to pay to have all of it rebranded, but I only rebranded like the flags and everything. So if we can come up with another name, I'd be happy to put that back out on the road, because I have received thousands of requests. I still have Andrea at BL Race Series, as I still own all of the equipment. I still do it. There are so many people that have been helped by each and every one of you, by each and everybody on the show, whether they're there for a day, a week, until the finale. They yearn for our help, and they just really want I can't even think that the reason why this documentary is so popular. I mean, Danny did great, and Tracy, and they put it all out there. Everybody, they put out their stories, and that's great. But there's a reason why this show and this they're yearning for something. There isn't a support group. I have witnessed people that have lost 400 pounds doing a half marathon. I've witnessed people that have only lost 20 pounds that probably should have just done the 1 mile walk, trying to do a half marathon, and they just thirst for us. And I can tell you that, this Biggest Loser family, whether it's season 16, which they will always have this very special place in my heart. But from season 1 to now, we've had very similar experiences. Some things are very similar. Some things are very different. But knowing that has made the difference. I was only on there for a hot second in the end, but afterward is where I was able to shine and meet the people that watch the show. And to me, I'm amazed by everybody that I've met and learned. And, they love to meet Sonia. I mean, they'd see Sonia's coming. Oh, we'd love to meet Sonia. Adrian, you came to Chicago. Lisa, we've got the couples, Ramon and Jess, who are great, and Francie, and all the people that have found their partners and spouses. I mean, what an amazing family to be a part of. And in every family, there are a few crazies, and I'll give them that. And we're
You
no
got
different.
those.
We got a few crazies in there, and we
Challenger.
wouldn't have made the show if we weren't a little bit crazy. I mean, heck, the first person that I sat with was Sonia on that bus. We went around, I can't remember. We were riding on that bus forever, looking out windows and everything else, and thinking, what in the heck have we gotten ourselves into? And you know, I'm just so proud of all of us, and I guess that's my biggest takeaway is you have no idea. I have witnessed this through seeing the people out there and how excited they are to see you. And I even pinch myself to this day because I watched myself. One of my biggest people that I have not met yet, but I will one of these days, is Abby Wright. She touched my heart. I remember weeping, meeting her and hearing her story about losing her family. And I think of her to this day. And she is just somebody that, you know, wow, talk about overcoming. I mean, the sisters, I can't remember. They were on the documentary. I can never, Olivia and Hannah. And, you know, watching Tara as a woman killing all those challenges and always winning. And, you know, it's just all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's a godsend. And I love all of you, whether I've met you in person or I have not. You are part of my family, and I appreciate you.
Well, I want to thank all of you guys for coming on. I want to thank everybody who watched today. If you guys liked this, please like, subscribe, and share. And I believe next week we will be doing this again with a whole new set of Biggest Loser alumni, their take, their seasons, and I'm trying to spread it out over all the seasons. So I hope to see you guys there. But regardless, thank you guys so much for coming tonight. Goodbye.
Bye.